Hi, this is Nicholas Bell with IONCINEMA, here to review the I Spit on Your Grave Blu-ray box set, released courtesy of Ronin Flicks, November 11th, 2020, of which there will only be 5,000 copies made. So of course, I Spit on Your Grave is the controversial 1978 exploitation grindhouse classic directed by Miyazaki, of course, aka Day of the Woman. It also shares the same title as the English language translation of the 1940s pulp novel by Boris Vian, I Spit on Your Graves, which is also a similarly tawdry tale with particular subtext. That film is about a very light-skinned black man that takes vengeance for his brother's lynching by sleeping with as many white men as possible, which is a very interesting story. But Zarki's title has kind of eclipsed all of the references in the zeitgeist to this particular film, starring Camille Keaton as Jennifer Hills, budding writer who pulls a Henry David Thoreau and goes off into rural Connecticut to write her novel, and is then accosted by four men who brutally rape her, each kind of at separate times. And then the second half of the film is her taking very slow, methodical, sweet vengeance on them. Zarki, I think, initially meant this to be a film about female empowerment more than anything else, but I think based on his filmmaking abilities, it looks and sounds a lot like an exploitation film, so it was, I think, misinterpreted in a lot of ways. 40 years later, after the film was remade and a sequel was made in 2010 and 2013 respectively, he finally got his own a continuation of the story off the ground in 2018 with I Spit on Your Grave Déjà Vu, aka I Spit on, or Day of the Woman Déjà Vu, which received a direct-to-DVD release in April of 2019. That film picks up 40 years later, although the timing and age of some of the characters doesn't match, where Jennifer Hills is now a successful author thanks to her best-selling memoir of the trauma she survived and being acquitted by the jury of the murder of four men. And her daughter, who's the most famous and highest paid model working today, Christy Hills, played by Jamie Bernadette. And after lunching one day, they are abducted by the widow of Johnny, played by Erin Tabor in the original. This Becky, who's kind of this hillbilly matriarch type in fatigues that rolls up in a white van with the name Enola Gay in tape on the side, and along with three other men who are all related to the deceased victims of Jennifer's from the first film, have designs on taking her back and killing her and throwing her in a grave she's dug herself. They weren't expecting to get her daughter, yada yada. And of course the film then becomes a very long, laborious 2.5-hour repeat of what the same mechanics, narrative mechanics of the first film. And then the third film in this box set is Growing Up with I Spit on Your Grave, which is directed by Terry Zarki, the son of Meyer Zarki, who was a small boy in the first film and has since worked in casting. And this is kind of a love letter to his father's legacy. Yeah, I think that I've seen I Spit on Your Grave before, but it's been years. Revisiting it now with a more trained eye, I think there's a lot of evidence showing that he made a film to the best of his abilities that was definitely trying to say something that was misinterpreted. There's no score, there's very long, unyielding, uncomfortable shots. Like, it's difficult to watch this film, and Keaton's kind of feral performance is hard to turn away from, both as a victim and as the perpetrator. As female empowerment, I don't think it quite works. It's very through a masculine lens, of course. And there are scenes, the special effects in several violent sequences still do hold up. They look good. Overall, I think that it just unfortunately feels like exploitation, rape, revenge film, and I think that's why the cult audience it has culled has been kind of a mix of people that like it for all those wrong, uncomfortable reasons. The sequel 40 years later, you know, to be blunt, is complete garbage. And the documentary also feels like something that's either for the family or the extreme fans that should have been perhaps an extra feature on one of the other discs. But be that as it may, Camille Keaton, it's interesting to hear her speak. Of course, before starring in this film, she was starred in a number of Italian giallo films, including one of my favorites, What Have You Done to Solange, which she's the titular character who doesn't show up until the end. And after this, her career didn't flourish, even though she did marry Meyerzarki for a while. And I would have wanted to hear what a more objective documentarian might have pulled from her. That said, it's interesting to revisit the reception of the film, Roger Ebert's extreme reaction against it, how it was #1 slot on the Video Nasties list in the UK. There's all those it's a very interesting era of film in itself, so any chance to revisit that. There's a tidbit about Demi Moore that's I haven't read her memoir, which I guess it is also stated in there, but it's Demi Moore's derriere on the cover of I Spit on Your Grave, on the poster. The box set also came with some poster art and some magnets that are, believe they're supposed to look like old VHS tapes. It's a nice try. I don't know that ultimately this is deserving of this, and if we were going to go with these 3 discs, I think it would have been, might as well throw in the remake and the sequel to the remake in there as well, with both are titles I have not seen. Overall, I would give I Spit on Your Grave 2.5 out of 5 stars. Déjà Vu, I don't believe in zeros, but a 0.25 out of 5. It was difficult to watch. Every minute of its 2.5 hours was difficult to watch, and yeah. And the documentary, I would say 1.5 out of 5 stars. It felt very much like the filmmaking, the Zarki filmmaking family is very Tommy Wiseau doing a Rob Zombie film is what these feel like, and neither narrative feature nor documentary feels quite well polished across all 3 of these titles. Déjà Vu felt like a Nico Mastoraki film to me, like they're on the set of his movie The Zero Boys, and there's just this shrieking performance by Jonathan Pesce as Kevin, which it's like if Shia LaBeouf was trying to be Tira Satana in Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.